Hey guys, how are you?
Good. How are you? I love the collection of memorabilia in the back. Yoda, Coen Brothers.
Yeah, I got normally it was worse because I had all my Funkos when before I had an office behind me, and so everyone would be like, "What are the Funkos?" I was like, "They're just behind me." Um, but to start off, I love Primo a lot. I'm a big Mike Schur fan in general. Like my cat is over there. His name is Benjamin Wyatt the cat. So
Oh
like
my
the
God.
minute I like found out the show was happening, I was like, "Oh, well, I gotta watch it." But it is such a very heartwarming and sweet show that like I didn't know I was missing that feeling from the TV I was watching. And so to start, Ignacio, I wanted to ask, like, I love the family dynamic. I accidentally called Rafa Primo when I was talking to Shay and Mike because I was like, well, everyone calls him Primo. Then my brain was like, no, that's his name. That's what they call him. But uh it is so like wonderful to kind of watch how this family interacts. So how did you guys kind of build that dynamic out on set to make it so kind of easy for audiences to just fall into this family and understanding who they are?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, most of that work was probably done in casting because by the time we showed up and met everyone, like, I don't know that we had to put that much effort as the actors into like trying to connect with everyone. Like, it kind of organically sort of fell into that dynamic. Like, and everyone was so incredibly happy to be there. I mean, most everyone on the show, it's their first series regular role. So everyone, so it was, it was everyone felt like incredibly committed, and no one had had an opportunity like this before, and to sort of represent this kind of family on television before. So everyone showed up and gave the best of themselves, and you know, that sort of like familial dynamic ended up very fortunately just sort of like organically taking place, and that I think is a big testament to like the people at the helm of the show, because the tone is set like from the top down. And
Mhm.
so when you have someone like Shay, who you know like you've met and you talk to, just the most humble guy, like the smartest, like most grounded, coolest person around. Like, it's there's no way you can be at work with him every day and like and not be having a good time. Like,
Mhm.
so yeah, I'm not sure if like that answers entirely, but
Yeah, of course. And like Sakai, what I love about like eh, playing the love interest is never easy, especially like the crush of like because those characters tend to come flat. But what I love about the show is that's not the case. Like I love how you kind of just are a fully rounded performer, and that comes across in the character. And so when you got cast and you're approaching a role that is like, again, she's someone's crush, she's all these things, but then she also has her own life that she's dealing with that we get to kind of explore. What was the most exciting part about her as a character that made you just like, yeah, I'm so excited to kind of jump in and get started?
The thing that made me most excited, honestly, was the fact that my role was inspired by an actual person, by Shay Serrano's wife. 'Cause
Mhm.
I've always wanted to play somebody who's here, who's going to see it. That is a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility, but I love how Shay told me to make Maya my own. And I love that I was able to do that with Maya and explore, like you said, her own world, what she's going through, her activities, her life. Yes, she is a love interest, but she's also Maya, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I loved Maya and Rafa's kind of like back and forth. Like that was like as much as I love the nonsense that the uncles are kind of always up to, I like the moments between these two characters kind of like brought it down, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not like always outrageous quotes about food and butts. There's like these sweet moments. And but for you both, obviously, you guys are kind of the sweeter side of this story. What is your favorite part, like for both Rafa and Maya, that you guys got to act out and like see throughout the show?
hmm.
My favorite moments. are actually us taking walks, as you might have seen in the trailer, us taking a walk and us just being alone and just being in the city, in the streets, and being able to take it all in, the community. That's, I'll have to say, that's probably one of my favorite moments.
Um, I think some of my favorite Rafa Maya moments are uh maybe at the end of the carnival episode,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a moment toward the end of the season when when Rafa walks Maya back home at night. Uh those are some of my favorite to shoot, I think. Or that's what came to mind.
Yeah, and it's so funny because like I can't stop thinking about I mentioned the butt scene, but I can't stop thinking about it because it is just so funny how long it goes on and it like it's not funny at the start because he's wrong, and then it just gets funnier and funnier because he keeps trying.
Yeah.
Um, and it's moments like that where I'm like, yeah, this show is one of those. I told Shay and Mike this that it's one of those it's going to instantly be on my rewatch when I do all my comedy rewatches because it just fits really easy. It's fun to kind of like flow
Awesome.
with and you can watch it, but there are outrageous scenes.
Sure.
Is
Yeah,
there any that stuck out to you like when you were filming or reading that you were like, this is I don't understand how this is going to work, but it's going to be funny when it does?
Hmm.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you want to go, or I like?
The thing is with me, I didn't doubt that any of them were going to work. And knowing the tone of Primo, the show, I was excited about those moments where something outrageous does happen. So if anything, I was more excited than like, how is that going to work? Questioning it. If that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well, like that scene, like you mentioned, like is one that was like a ton of fun to shoot. And I think the ones that end up in the show, like the movie references that he says that end up in the show, are the scripted ones. But they also threw out, to Johnny Ray Diaz, who plays Uncle Rolly, they threw out a bunch of alts as well, like
Mm-hmm.
alternative lines to do. And he also came up with his own, and we were then feeding him like we're like, do scent of a woman, and like just random, like,
Son of a woman would have been great.
and yeah, hoo-ah, I don't know, whatever. But like, and he did so many, and it was so funny. But no, there were so many moments like that. There was some I remember getting the script for I think it might have been the recruitment fair episode. I'm not sure, but like Uncle Mondo's asking Uncle Rolly for help uh, at the flea market, and Uncle Rolly's like, I can't. Slept with the flea market mascot, got crabs. A flea with crabs. Life is a highway. And I was like, what? Like I had to take I like had like you know, like that moment like made me laugh so much just reading it on the page. And then so yeah, there's just like a lot of stuff like that. Or like, the Uncle Jay and Uncle Mike scenes of like the in the Game Champ episode on the roof and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
like and I'm like, how are they gonna shoot? How are they gonna shoot him on the roof, getting off the roof, jumping onto something? Like, so all that was fun to like discover how it's gonna be from page to screen.
God, I love quotes like that. Like my favorite Parks and Rec quote is like when Ben Wyatt's trying to feed a bronze eagle. And he's like, I'm feeding your eagle. He's starving because it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I think it is genuinely funny. And this show has like so many of those that you're like, this seems like the dumbest thing I've ever heard, but I can't stop
Yeah, yeah,
laughing.
yeah. My fa-
Like,
I think one of
like the
my
car.
favorite yeah, I think one of my favorite Parks and Rec quotes, or maybe my favorite, much to like Mike Schur's chagrin, because it was, as a writer, it was an improvised line, but
I
it's
know
when
exactly what you're talking about.
it's when Leslie Knope is sick, and Andy's like off on the in his office, he's on the computer, and like the camera pans to him, he's like, hey Leslie, I I put your symptoms here into the search bar, and it says you might have network connectivity problems.
I brought that up to them because I was like, how
Did
much
you?
improv was, yeah, because I was like, how much improv was done? Because like I know like I've heard him talk about that specific moment so
Yeah,
many times.
yeah.
And he was
Yeah,
like, to be clear, and was like, I wasn't mad about it. It's fun. And I was like,
No,
I'm
no, no,
just
no,
saying
no.
I've heard it.
And they're so great about that. Like when there's improv on set from the actors that they really love, they'll throw away, like, if they love it enough, they'll be like, oh, yeah, go, go in that direction. And they'll be really generous with the actors about like, yeah, keep doing that. Or maybe it'll inspire like an alter, rewrite, and they'll feed you something. But mostly we're leaning on and looking toward the writers.
Yeah.
The writers.
Yeah, and who deserve to be paid. Very much so. But thank you guys so much for talking with me today. I hope that writer strike gives writers a bunch of money, and then we come back and we get Primo season 2, and we just keep telling the stories, and I can talk to you every season about this family and what's happening.
Wow, that's we all want the same thing.
Awesome. But thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Have a great one.
Too.